Hey there, scientists! Welcome back. I'm Teacher Sally, and I am so excited to guide you through today's explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the amazing way your body detects changes and restores its own internal balance. Basically, we're going to look closely at how your body acts as this incredibly brilliant, self-regulating machine. Here is our quick roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with a hook and review, move into the 5 feedback steps, look at negative feedback in action, check out positive feedback amplification, pause to think like a scientist, and then wrap it all up with a final rapid review. All right, section 1, hook and review, the case of the sweaty runner. Let's just jump right in by imagining a scenario that I think we can all relate to. Picture this. You're out running during the absolute peak of the Philippines summer heat. Naturally, your body temperature starts to rise and you begin to sweat. But here's question number 1 for you to think about. How did your body actually know to do that? I mean, how does it maintain balance without you consciously controlling every single response? You don't actually tell your sweat glands to turn on, right? They just kind of do. Well, the answer to that is homeostasis. Simply put, homeostasis is your body's incredible ability to keep its internal conditions within a safe, suitable range. We're talking things like body temperature, blood glucose, water balance, blood pressure, oxygen, and even your pH levels. And remember, homeostasis doesn't mean everything stays exactly frozen in place. Not at all. It means your body is constantly adjusting to keep things perfectly balanced for your survival. So, question 2. What happens when things fall out of that safe range? Well, your body leaps right into action. That brings us to section 2, the 5 feedback steps, which is basically the body's internal communication system. To maintain this amazing homeostasis, your body relies on something called a feedback loop. A feedback loop is essentially your body's internal group chat. It allows the body to detect changes, coordinate a response, and pull everything back into balance. It involves 5 key components working together in a very specific order. We've got the stimulus, receptor, control center, effector, and response. So here's question 3 for you. Which part of this loop do you think acts like your body's personal thermometer? We'll figure that out in just a second. To make this super easy to remember, I want you to use this little memory trick. Change, detect, decide, act, adjust. The stimulus is the change that kicks the whole thing off. The receptor is your body's sensor. It detects the change. The control center, which is usually your brain, processes that information and decides what to do. The effector is the action taker, like a muscle or a gland. And finally, the response is the actual action that adjusts the condition back to normal. So lock in this simple chain reaction. Change, detect, decide, act, adjust. Okay, section 3, negative feedback in action, case studies and homeostasis. Let's see how these 5 steps play out in a real-world situation. Let's look at Juan. He's out for a jog in Luneta Park on a blazing hot, sunny afternoon. Inside his body, some major shifts are about to happen. Let's trace his feedback loop together. First, his body temperature goes up. That's our stimulus. Next, temperature receptors in his body detect this change. They fire off a message to the control center, specifically a part of the brain called the hypothalamus, which processes the info. Now, question 4. The hypothalamus sends signals to the effectors. What do you think those are here? Well, in this case, they're his sweat glands and the blood vessels in his skin. They spring into action. The resulting response is sweating and increased heat loss, which cools Juan down and moves his temperature right back into a safe range. This cooling effect is a perfect textbook example of what we call negative feedback. This is a massive concept in science, guys. Negative feedback is a response that opposes or reduces the original change to promote stability. If the temperature goes too high, the body lowers it. If it goes too low, the body raises it. And please remember, the word negative here does not mean bad. It simply means the body is opposing the change to stabilize itself. So negative equals stabilize. And honestly, we see the stabilizing effect everywhere in your body. Take blood glucose. When your glucose is high after eating a huge meal, the pancreas releases insulin so your cells take up and store that sugar, bringing the levels down. When it's low, the pancreas releases glucagon so the liver can release stored glucose, bringing it back up. Or think about water balance. Water loss triggers thirst and a very special hormone called ADH, which basically tells your kidneys to conserve water. And during exercise, your muscles demand more oxygen and produce way more CO2. So question 5. Why do you breathe faster after running? It's just your body's negative feedback response trying to adjust your gas exchange. It's always trying to bring things back to normal. Moving right along, Section 4, positive feedback amplification, driving processes to an endpoint. Now, what happens when the body actually wants to push a change even further? That's where positive feedback steps in. Unlike negative feedback, positive feedback strengthens or amplifies the original change until a very specific endpoint is reached. And just like negative doesn't mean bad, positive does not mean good. Positive simply equals amplify. So, question 6. Can you think of a time your body actually needed to rush a process to completion? Some prime examples are childbirth, blood clotting when you accidentally cut your finger, or the LH hormone surge right before ovulation. If we compare the two side by side, it makes a lot of sense. Negative feedback opposes the original change and promotes stability. It's the most common way your body maintains homeostasis, kind of like a thermostat for your temperature or blood glucose. Positive feedback, on the flip side, strengthens the original change. It's like a snowball effect driving a process to an endpoint, used in very specific situations like childbirth and blood clotting. Just remember, negative stabilizes, positive amplifies. All right, Section 5, think like a scientist. This is our interactive knowledge check. I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios, and I want you to put your scientist hats on and figure out what's happening. Take a second to really think about this one. Scenario A. A person's body temperature starts rising while they're waiting in a super long line for a jeepney, but their sweat glands do not produce any sweat. Think back to our 5 steps. Question 7. Which specific part of the feedback loop is failing right here? Did you guess the effector? Because if you did, you are absolutely right. The sweat glands are the effectors. They're the action takers. Without them doing their job, the response of sweating just doesn't happen. And because of this broken loop, the body temperature is going to stay dangerously high, meaning homeostasis is completely lost. Let's try one more. Scenario B. Maria is playing basketball at the local barangay court. She sweats heavily and becomes severely dehydrated. Question 8. What changed in her body, and what responses should occur to fix it? Well, the stimulus, the big change here is the water loss. Because of this, her body immediately responds by increasing her feeling of thirst, so she'll grab a drink. And her control center instructs the kidneys, using that ADH hormone we talked about, to conserve water. This reduces her urine output and improves her internal water balance. Let's do a quick bonus verbal question. Question 9. What if blood glucose remains high because insulin is insufficient? Which component is broken there? If you said the effector again, you are spot on. And here we are at Section 6, Final Rapid Review. Let's master this concept. You all did fantastic on those scenarios. Now, as we wrap up this explainer, let's just lock in the absolute most important takeaways from today's lesson. Always, always remember our 5 key action words for the feedback loop. The stimulus is the change. The receptor detects that change. The control center decides what to do. The effector acts on that decision. And the response adjusts the body back to a state of perfect balance. And don't forget our 2 types of feedback. Negative feedback stabilizes your body by opposing the original change. Positive feedback amplifies a process by strengthening the original change until an endpoint is hit. Here is question 10 for you to walk away with today. Which of these 2 feedback loops is your body relying on right this very second? Hint, it's definitely the negative one. Guys, your body truly is an incredible self-balancing machine. It's working constantly behind the scenes just so you can focus on living your life. Thank you so much for joining me today, scientists. The next time you're outside sweating in the sun, I really hope you take a second to appreciate the amazing science happening right inside of you. But I do want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If negative feedback loops keep us alive by constantly correcting errors, what happens to the body when a loop completely breaks down and just cannot be fixed? Think about that for our next explainer. Keep thinking like a scientist, and I will see you next time.